Hi there, this is Dr. Embody with a little bit of an introduction to Project 3. This is Game of Mastermind. We'll give you a link to it. If you don't know it, I suggest you play it, get familiar with it. Do that before you think about solving the problem. You've got to understand the game first. Stop and go and do that. Now, one of the things that we talk about in terms of problem solving is that inside any big problem are some small problems trying to get out. And in this case, I see this as really three pieces. And the first two you can actually do by themselves. And I encourage you to do that. One part of it is that in this game, we have to figure out the existence and position values. And we've got to do that for every guess. So we get a key and we get a guess, and we have to figure out the existence and position. All right, that's the first thing you have to do. The next, and we'll take a look at that. Then the next thing you have to do is repeatedly ask for guesses. I think you get something like 12 of them. And obviously that's a loop because this is about loops. And so, that's two separate parts of us. And then the third part is error checking. Always do the error checking last. Do you have digits? Do you have the right number of digits? Are there repeats? All those kinds of things. You leave that until last. Once you got the rest of it working perfectly, put in the error checking. So those are the three parts of this. Find the existence and position. Actually write a program that only does that. Doesn't do any looping, doesn't do anything. It takes a guess and tries that out. Then write a program that only does looping. Don't do any existence and position stuff. Can you do 12 things and maybe exit to win? And then combine those, and finally last do your error checking. Now, what do I mean about, let's take a look at the exist and position, and let's take a look at a particular example here. So I get the key of 1, 2, 3, 4, and right, that's the key, and then I make a guess of 4, 3, 2, 1. So what does that mean? Well, I go through this, this will be a loop, all right? And I look at the 4 and I say, let's just look at existence here. Is the 4 in that value? And if you leave these as strings, don't make this into a number. This is just a string of digits. So you take the digit 4 and you say, is it in that string? If it is, then I want to take my exist value and plus equal 1, add 1 to it. All right. And then go to the next one. 3, is that in there? It is. Then we'll do another plus equals 1. Is the 2 in there? It is. Is the 1 in there? So when I'm done, I should find that 4 of them are in there. None of them are in the right position. Okay. Let's take a look at another one. Suppose I guess 1, 2, 4, 3, where the first 2 are in the correct position and the last 2 are the right values, but they're in the wrong position, which is why we get 2 that exist. That refers to the second 2. And the 2 that are in their proper position, that refers to those 2. Remember, these clues that we're giving the player don't tell anything about which ones are in the right place. It's just how many are in the right place. We don't want to give them too much information. Now, how do we determine position? Well, if the key is a string that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the guess is a string that's 1, 2, 4, 3. We can loop through the guess and say, okay, this is in position 0. Is that the same as the key value that's in position 0? Right, double equals there, right? And if it is, then I'll take my position and add 1 to it. If it's not, I don't change my position. Then I go on and I look at the next ones. Guess of 1 equal to key of 1. And if it is, we will do the same thing again. And we go through it. Now, I could actually list them out. Don't do that. We want to see a loop here. We know exactly how long my guess is. Remember, at this point, I'm not doing any error checking. We perfectly put in it, a 4. Happens that the key is exactly the same length. That's helpful. We know exactly how many it is, so let's use a for loop. So I can do something like for ch in my guess. And when I'm playing around with this before I do it, just to check to see how you're doing, just print the characters in guess. Just to make sure that you're walking through it correctly. And then once you have that, you scratch that out and say, okay, so now what do I want to do? Well, I want to actually check the values in there. Now, unfortunately, when I do this, that's each character in the guess. It doesn't give me the index. And so one of the things I like to do is use enumerate. And try this out. For I ch in guess. No, I'm sorry. In enumerate of guess. And then go and print those out. Print the I and the ch, and what you'll find is the I's will go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry. The I's will go through the guess, and they'll give us the indices 0, 1, 2, and 3, and it will print out the characters there. Let me show what it looks like, and then you can in fact do that. If I go to my shell, you can see I've been playing around with this. Let's go guess equals. Let me just make the other stuff disappear here for a moment. There we go. That way it won't get in the way. Guess is equal to the string 1, 2, 4, 3. It doesn't really matter. Now if I go for ch in guess and I print the character, what do I get? I get the characters 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, and 3. But now watch this. If I go ch in enumerate of guess, I'm going to get both the character and the index. So I'll print the I, I'll put a colon in between them just to highlight it, and the ch. Alright. And notice this time I get my indices down the side. So when I just did for the ch and the guess, I got 1, 2, 4, 3. Here I still get those. So there's the I and there's the ch. I also get the indices. So now I can do things like inside of my loop, I can refer to things like print I ch. I can do something like well, let's see, what would I do? Let's do something different. Let's print guess of I and ch. Let's print all 3 of those. And what do I get? Alright, I get the guess of I is exactly the same as the ch. So that lets me refer to it as either guess of I or as ch. And what I suggest you do is you write a program that only checks for the existence and the position. And I got an example of that here. So if my key is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I might make a guess of 1, 2, 4, 3, then it tells me that I have 2 that exist and 2 in the correct position, which is exactly what we have. You should write that as a separate program. Doesn't do any error checking, doesn't do any looping, doesn't do anything, and get that part working right. That's a core part of this project. Get that working right. Then you can go on and say, oh, well, now separately, let me write a program that just does the looping. And it doesn't do any position, anything like that. I put in a key 2, 4, 6, 8. Enter a guess 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter another guess 3, 4, 5, 6. And all it does is keeps going around, and it'll add after 12 times, which I'm not going to do. It will tell you that you lost, or it also checks if I put in the right one, checks that it wins. It doesn't do any position, doesn't do any error checking. It just does the loop. Get that loop right. Then once you got those 2 pieces working, put them together. And in fact, what I mean by that is take this code and stick it inside of that code. Now you pretty much have the game plan. And you still have to do this stuff of printing out the history as you go along. Just do that as a string, put a carriage return in between each one. So this really is what I'm printing out here is one string. That's just one string. And to put carriage return between each one, just use the strange characters that we have for the carriage return, the backslash and the n. And you just keep adding on to the string. Remember, if you take a string and you add on to it, you can use plus, and then you get a longer string. So by that I mean something like this. So if I'm keeping track of my history, and then I have some string, exist is 3, and position is 1 or something like that. Then I can say history plus equals s. And then when I print history, I get that. And then if I come up with another one, exist is 1, position is 0, then I can say history plus equals, this time I have s2. And if I say print history, it won't work because it prints them, but I forgot to put the carriage return in between. So I can say something like history is s1 plus a carriage return. Oops, I don't have an s1, I have an s plus carriage return plus my second one. And now history gets presented on 2 different lines. So there's all the pieces. Good luck.